Hello again and welcome to a new video here. This video is going to be about Canadian whiskey. What Canadian whiskeys uh, do I recommend, and what kind of Canadian whiskeys do Canadians themselves drink? I've had a decent amount, especially since the ban is still in effect and there's no more American stuff, unfortunately. Um, and so this is just what I have currently. There's some I've had a lot more, but this is all the stuff that I have right now. And so just to go through everything, I got my Gibson 12 year. This is made in Oakville, I believe. I have my Wayne Gretzky red wine cask. I have my special Lot 40 port cask strength here. And then I also have the more readily available Lot 40 dark oak. And you had to have Crown. I just have Crown chocolate right now. I don't have the other crowns, though I've had most of them. And I just want to. I guess I'll just move everything off and talk about each one individually. The Gibson 12 year. We'll get to this one first, just because just to make the video short, this is probably what I recommend most people try. It's the best price, and it has a 12-year age statement on it. It's a very, very simple whiskey, I should say. Not that it's bad or cheap or anything, it's just very simple. It's two flavor profiles that I get the most, which is your normal stuff, like vanillas and caramels. And compared to some other stuff, is not as is pretty good. It kind of almost reminds me of like a rum a little bit. That's how much sort of flavor there is. Might be aged minimum of 3 years by their laws, age 12 to provide a richer flavor. Yeah, it doesn't tell you what kind of wood they used, but it's very rum esque, or I should say, um, I had some Barcelo um, Imperial rum, which is aged in American oak. So that's probably what I'm getting from this, because they smell very similar and taste kind of similar. But this one's um, tastes like vanillas, caramels, and that's about it. And it's good for mixing as well. Like I'm when I mix it with Coke and stuff, it doesn't really dilute the flavor too much. It's still very much strong and prominent in there. And I will say too, it's pretty smooth as well. Like it's or not as harsh. It's 40%, and yeah, just vanilla, caramel, and you get a little bit of the alcohol taste, but it's fairly refined, and what I recommend most people trying. Um, we'll get to, I guess, this one last, or yeah, this one last. We'll just talk about the Crown chocolate, or just Crown in general. I've had pretty much everything, basic wise. I've had the chocolate, vanilla, salted caramel, apple, peach, blackberry, and the normal Crown. I don't think I've had the black or the reserve, just because the normal whiskey itself is not great, not very good at all, to be honest. I don't like it. Just sells because it's cheap, it's popular, and that's what people knows it to be. It's I haven't had the normal one in a very long time. I just remember pretty much hating every time I had it. The peach, on the other hand, is my favorite flavored for the most part. You can I'll always have a Crown Peach and mix it or have it by itself, and it's still pretty good. Like I'm never gonna say no to it. But the chocolate is also very nice. It's just kind of tastes like a Tootsie Roll. Um, Great with mixing, surprisingly good in Coke, to be honest. The flavor is very strong. especially when you mix it too. It's kind of like how, I guess, for bartenders, maraschino cherry liqueur, the Luxardo maraschino cherry is, where you just need a little bit to impart a lot of flavor. And I mixed it with a lot of things. The stuff that I've done that I remember is Coke. I had one last bottle of Jim Beam Black Cherry that I got before Ford banned all the decent whiskeys, and it was pretty good. But it is liquor with liquor, so it's pretty strong. But yeah, Jim Beam Black Cherry. I've mixed it with triple sec. I've mixed it with the maraschino cherry to make like a chocolate cherry, and all of that stuff's pretty good. But it is also just liquor and liquor. I feel like if there was something to cut it with, it might be better. It might be a little more enhanced. But I'm just kind of a lazy bartender, to be honest. Two, three ingredients at most. um, but yeah, the chocolate's nice. Peach is what I recommend. Apple, everybody else tends to like the most. And you can't go wrong with the flavored stuff. I would stay away from the base, and from what I've heard, the normal or the like black and the reserve and stuff like that just end up being a disappointment as well for the price. And next, we will go to the red wine, uh, Wayne Gretzky 99 cask, or red wine cask 99, whatever. This is incredibly just, I would slightly say bad. This whiskey is aged in, around red wine barrels. Like they're known for their wines, and I haven't had their wines, but a lot of people have told me it's pretty good. Their whiskey, on the other hand, not very good at all, to be honest. I've had this one, and I've had their maple cask as well. I have no desire to try their normal one, just based off of those two. Uh, this is very, very what it feels like, cheap whiskey with, you know, barrel aging. It doesn't it's hard to like this stuff just because it's very harsh, very, very harsh, and alcohol tasting, and cheap, like whiskey. And the actual finish itself is pretty good. Like I there's you can taste it. It's there. It's complex. But it's at the end, at like the back of your palate, kind of at the end of the whole harsh, terrible whiskey taste. It's just very cheap, and then you get the influence with the casks versions that they have, and like the actual flavor that's been imparted, you can taste it. It is there. It's just the base whiskey just tastes like vodka almost. It's just harsh and not very good, but it has Wayne Gretzky on it. It smells not that bad. You can smell the oak on it, like in the base whiskey. Like you can smell the oak, but the oak flavor's not very pronounced, and like it's just all in the end palate. It's just like just very, very disappointing, to be honest with you, compared to like the overhype with the hype with the wine and all that stuff. I feel like they would do good um, with all the recommendations I've gotten with the wines, but the whiskey casks, I would not recommend. The maple cask is the same thing. It's literally just a very harsh alcohol, and then you get a little bit of whiskey and then a lot of maple, and the maple flavor is great. The red wine here is great. It's hard to get past the first assault on your tongue, pretty much. And we'll get to these two. We'll do these two because they're both the same company. Lot 40. Lot 40 is great. It's unique. It's different. It's um, fairly decently priced. Their cheapest one, which is funny, I've never had their cheapest one. I've only had their more expensive ones, but their cheapest one is $40, and based off of all these casks and finishes and stuff, they use the base and then they just age it and everything else to it. So I can, you can taste a little bit of like just the normal whiskey itself, which is not too bad. But this one is very special. I like this one for a rye. I'm not the biggest fan of ryes. Like, I don't mind them, but for the most part, my favorite whiskeys that I've had so far, that I could just drink straight with not even cold, nothing, would be like Woodford Reserve Double Oaked. This is pretty good, and I would say the Gibson as well, and the Dark Oak here. The dark oak is like extra aged. I don't know how long. Twice in oak barrels. I don't know how long it says. Twice charred barrels. Um, yeah, it doesn't say how long they've been aged, but you can really taste the imparted flavor on it. And if you want something that's like rye-esque, or you're trying to get into rye, this is pretty good. I think it's $65. So on the higher end of I would say the medium, of what I would pay for a whiskey, which would be like, I would say, a budget friendly or medium would, like medium class or whatever, would be between $40 and 65. 70 is a little too high. 70 and above, I would say, is an expensive whiskey. This has a lot of, the best way I can say is like cola syrup. It's dark, it's bold, there's some depth to it, there's some complexity. The flavor changes throughout. It's pretty strong. A lot of spices and cola syrup on the smell. It's 48%, yeah, and it's very nice. And I would recommend this, on the higher end of whiskeys to get in Canada if you're ever in Canada or you want to try and find Canadian whiskeys. Lot 40 Dark Oak is highly, highly recommended by me. And a lot of people that I've given it to have, nobody said it's bad. Everybody that I've given it to, even people that really don't like straight liquor, have said, it's very flavorful. It has that rye flavor and that cola syrup and spices and stuff, and it's very, very, very nice. And you can get it. It's kind of hard to get. I would say it's seasonal. They get a big shipment of them at the LCBO, and then they kind of trickle through, and they'll be gone for a couple months and then come back eventually. But whenever you see these, I would always recommend picking up one just to try. And then my most expensive is my Lot 40 Port Cask. This one I had to get off the website, and I think it was $115 Canadian. Oh, I should just preface, this is $32 Canadian. This is, I think, $40 Canadian. This is 20 something, 25 Canadian, and 65 Canadian for this one. This one's 115, with shipping and taxes and all that stuff included. This one is port cask, port as in the port wine, and French oak as well. So it's got wood, it's got port, it's got the rye. It's also cask strength, I believe, at 53.1%. It's very, very strong. Um, I'm not really used to a lot of cask strength stuff, but it's just on the smell, fruity, fruits, oak, rye spice, um, straight. I need to be honest with you. This is, a higher end whiskey, like way higher end than what I'm used to in my sort of flavor profile or palate, I guess. Um, but it's very good if you don't mind high percentage stuff. Like, the only other cask strength I've had would be the Japanese whiskey Nika from the barrel. That one is very nice, and doesn't taste like 54%, I think that one is. And I do occasionally like Baijiao, which is Chinese liquor. Lu Zhao Lao Chao is the one that I like the most. But this lot 40 is very special. Lots and lots of flavor. If you like drink a Gibson or something, a little simpler of a whiskey, and you're kind of like, oh, I just taste alcohol. When you're first getting into whiskeys and things, you just taste alcohol, or maybe you just taste a little bit. The only real way to get flavor would be like to mix it in a Coke and kind of be like, oh, this tastes like Coke, and then the rest of the flavors that I'm getting is what the whiskey's imparting. Something like this or the dark oak will help you out a lot. You'll obviously taste the alcohol with these high percentages, but you'll also taste an equal amount of flavor for as strong as it is. You'll also have the same strength of flavor that you get afterwards, and it's a medium finish, I would say. Like it's not as long as like Nika from the barrel. I can taste that for a couple minutes, but this is still pretty good. I'm. It kind of looks full, but I have had some. It's just a little expensive, and I don't get all the time, so I only save this for special occasions. But it is pretty good. If you can afford it, I would always recommend looking out for this one. Um, from the reviews and from what other people have told me with the other releases of the Lot 40, because these exploration editions end up being very hard to get and very limited. So they'll do like a Scotch one or a port one or a cherry wood one and stuff like that. The ones that I've heard other people have had, the cherry wood one, from what I've heard, is a little disappointing, especially for the price, because all these end up being closer to $100, just because of how limited they are. And so, um, it's always good to ask or look at reviews for these higher end lot 40 ones, just because you don't want to stumble into anything disappointing. Uh, but I would, if you want to get an exploration version, I would say get the port cask and get the peat. Um, I think it's the peat one. It's like a Scotch rye type thing, and that one also I've heard is at least unique, because even at the end of the day, if I don't like something, if it's still like a unique flavor profile that I can't get anywhere else, I will still like appreciate it for what it is and try and mix it and find other things to do with it. But um, there's 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 a lot of Canadian whiskeys, but there's a lot of bad ones as well. I see on the shelves. So just the list in Canada here. What I can remember, just in um, I'm in Ontario here. Just from what I can see off the shelves, there's like Yellow Canoe or Canoe something. Um, there's a bunch of ones that, like, I would say in the States, this would scare a lot of whiskey drinkers just because of how clear it is. But in Canada, unfortunately, we kind of are not really good at aging stuff. We just don't like to age stuff, and it all ends up looking like piss water, and a lot of them taste like piss water. So the ones in Ontario that, from what I've heard, what people drink in Canada here, we have Gibson. Well, I should say people drink obviously like 40 Creek. Um, I'm forgetting the biggest name one. It's the biggest rye one next to 40 Creek. JP Weiser, that's what I'm thinking of. JP Weiser, 40 Creek, and Crown. Those are the three like bases that you'll always get and see at the liquor store. But for the most part, like JP Weiser and Crown are mainly just for like alcoholics and homeless people. that those are the only people that I see buying them. Um, and most people that don't have issues end up buying Gibson, Barn Burner, the flavored Crowns a lot, um, and some of the like higher end, or some of the like other 40 Creeks as well. I shouldn't say 40 Creeks are for alcoholic people. A lot of people do like 40 Creek, but JP Weiser and Crown definitely definitely most of them end up being um, interesting people. Let's just say that. But yeah, Gibson is what a lot of people like. Barn Burner, and that's honestly, with the whiskey bans, it's destroyed the whiskey shelves in the LCBO. There's only about a handful that I recommend, like the three that I said, and I also recommend Lot 40 and stuff. I'm just talking about what actual Canadians drink, and yeah, it's kind of the American stuff. I miss it a lot. It was pretty good, and it has helped me find, like, without the ban, I probably would have bought more American stuff and would never found the Dark Oak or the Gibson or the Barn Burner. But it's it's also just there's only a handful of like good, I would say, Canadian whiskeys, and then the rest are just they don't have age statements. They don't have really a good quality control. They're piss water. I remember buying one. I think it's called Stock and Barrel or something, and there was like mold in it or something. There was like floating bits in the whiskey, and that's just kind of what the giant U.S. gap has done to the Canadian whiskey's stuff. A lot of people are looking, or we're looking for stuff, but you just can't find a lot of good stuff anymore, unfortunately. But we do have these, and the ones that I've mentioned as well, and they are pretty good. They're still very nice. I still recommend them, and so there is a little bit of good stuff, and hopefully from this video, if you're looking at Canadian whiskey, or if you're in Canada and you want some whiskey and you're like, oh, what ones do I want, or I've had some bad ones and stuff. These and what I've mentioned is gonna be like most of the ones that you can get readily available and are pretty good. Um, I will say 40 Creek is also decent. I would get the double barrel one, or some other ones, but they still are pretty simple. Like the Gibson Finest here, very simple, couple flavor notes, not like the dark oak or the port cask. So there's for mixing and just normal, I guess, whiskey stuff. You can always get those. And I hope you found some value in this, and I hope you guys have a good day. Bye.